girls, does that maybe mean that that's why they do this to their body, to attract girls?
No, but I think that bodybuilders are very, and athletes are very physical people. And I think because they're so physical, they are also more into sex than maybe average businessman. So that's probably the reason.
Yeah, I think actually myself that if there was 100 bodybuilders instead of 10, if there's 100 bodybuilders, probably a few of them are going to be homosexuals. If there's 100 accountants, bankers, a few of them,
Yeah.
that isn't exactly what we mean, I think, when we're asking about it. I think we mean that unlike other activities, there seems to be a fairly high sexual content to bodybuilding. Fairly high, turn on both ways. Maybe that's what attracts some people to it.
You mean that the homosexuals get turned onto bodybuilders, or bodybuilders get turned onto men, or what do you?
No, I just mean that it seems to be an activity. When you describe the rush of it, I'm not really talking about homosexuals.
Right, yeah.
Just that sexuality seems to be present
Yeah.
in bodybuilding as it is less present in most other activities, because it really is your body. We can't say in basketball the sexuality is disguised, it's symbolic, you're throwing a ball through a hoop. Many people would say that's very Freudian and so forth, but still it's very disguised, it's very in the background. In bodybuilding it's very in the foreground, and I'm just wondering if that doesn't affect.
I don't think that whatever sport you're doing, it has nothing to do with sexual at all. And I think that is one of the big problems in this country, that everybody pulls out this sex. I mean, I hear this left and right. I mean, people watch football games, and when a coach slaps a football player on his ass and says, "Go out now and get him," they say, "Well, he's a latent homosexual. He's only a coach because he wants to feel this guy's ass." That's actually the only reason, but he doesn't know about it. If you wrestle, then they say, "Well, you love body contact. You love to hug a guy and sweat and wrestle with a guy and maybe even kiss him, but you don't want to admit it because you're religiously brought up and you can't have this come out. Therefore, you like to hug a guy on a wrestling mat." So whatever you do, people say he's a latent homosexual. You know what I mean? So therefore, that is the least thing I'm concerned about with bodybuilding, since every sport is getting attacked. Whatever you do, if you're a car racing driver, if you're into cars, people say cars definitely is a replacement for sex. If you're really into politics, and they say, well, he's so much into politics because he has nothing else going for himself sexually. It's all a replacement of sex. Well, I tell you one thing, I know that my bodybuilding is no replacement of sex, because I get laid left and right, and I'm not missing out on anything. So it definitely isn't in my case. Now what other people do, I don't know, but as much as I know, they all live a very normal life, all the bodybuilders. And they enjoy it more than anybody else. So I put bodybuilding so much on the same level than any other sport. I see no difference. I studied shot putters, weightlifters, swimmers, they all are on the same trip. If they go before a contest, they court, they go for the contest, they train there 6 hours a day, they eat good, they live the right way, and that's it, And this is the same with bodybuilder. That's it. Nothing sexual whatsoever that I can see.
Of course, your body is hard, and that's what a man has to have sex, so that a certain kind of hardness, a bodybuilder has it all the time. He may not have it in his penis, but he's got it in his body, in his calves, in his
right.
thighs, and I think this is what makes people leap maybe to that conclusion that you don't think is a right conclusion.
Well, that's why I also made this comment about a pump being equal to coming and to an orgasm and so on, because it is an equal feeling. But it's an equal feeling at that particular moment while you're in a gymnasium. So can you believe how much I am in heaven?
Maybe you get the feeling of coming when you pump and pumping when you
Maybe. No, but that's why I made this statement. And any other time, it has nothing to do because the muscles are not hard; they're soft. They're just as soft than anybody else's body is. So it does not apply that the muscles continuously feels like having a hard on or something like that.
Is there any kind of person, any kind of any race that is better suited for bodybuilding than the other races?
No, I think that it is. I would say maybe the Japanese and the Chinese people have a disadvantage because they're little. I think the people in the Arab world have a disadvantage because they're naturally little people and smaller people. But in general, I would say black, whites, Indian, whatever it might be, uh, they had champions. We have black champions, white champions, and whatever. So there's no disadvantage.
Do you have any feeling of racial supremacy at all in any way, either with regards to body or intelligence?
Um, no, in my opinion, everybody is equal, and it doesn't matter if it is woman, it doesn't matter if it is black, yellow, red, Jewish, white, whatever it might be. Everything is equal, and I think that's how people should be treated, and that's basically it.
Okay. Camera 62. We ready?
I was born in Graz, in Austria, and I lived there for 19 years. And then I moved to Germany, stayed there for 2 years, and then I moved to the United States, which was California.
And how old are you now?
28. I'm 28 going on. And so I never get upset when people call me, "Are you German?" I maybe say, "Well, I'm actually was born in Austria," but it's the same thing. It's same people and same politics and so on. So,
The same politics?
well, it's basically the same. They're both very socialistic countries now, and the people have the same feelings, and it's pretty much the same people. I would say, for me, the greatest country in the world right now is America. Except there's only one thing I don't like here, and that people go on their own little trips too much. The unity isn't there anymore, and I don't think it's that much the people's fault. I think it's because we don't have a strong leader here. Because people basically want to look up to a leader, if it is a religious leader or if it is, in meditation, some leader, or if in anything. They just want to look up to somebody and say, what should I do? And American people didn't have this since Kennedy was assassinated. And so I think it's just the government's fault in a way. But basically, I like America the best. It's by far, I think, the best country. And so I just tried out every sport. I went from boxing to wrestling to playing soccer to skiing and until I hit bodybuilding. And when I hit that, I knew that is the sport I want to do, and that maybe gets me up there to be the world's greatest. And I was striving for it with 100% energy, just striving for that I want to be the best. I want to stand up there. I want to have thousands of people applauding me and recognizing me, that I am the best. And that's it. And I think that has a lot to do with the drive I had. It wasn't just, to be into a competitive field and just to be the best. It's just that it feels great that when you know that whenever you say something, people listen and they say, well, he must know he's the best. It's a good feeling, satisfying feeling.
That sounds like the feeling that a political leader.
Exactly, it's the same thing. When you go on television as an athlete and somebody asks you a question, whatever you say, people say, he has a point there, he's right, because they think he must know. He did so much with his life, so he must have the answer. Like if Muhammad Ali says something, people would say, the man is right. He's one of the most influential people in the United States right now.
You think people take political opinions of an athlete seriously?
I think so.
What's the difference between you and the heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali?
I think that there's actually no difference except that it's a different sport. But we both put in as much training to be on the top. We both are the best, and there's nobody better. And there's a difference financially, that he's making more money because his is boxing is a bigger spectator sport than bodybuilding isn't. It's an older sport, so it's more recognized by the general public. But other than that, there's no difference.
We got to do a little part of that again. You haven't mentioned Muhammad Ali. You just said, I think there's no difference, so we don't know you're talking about between boxing and
I think there's actually no difference between Muhammad Ali and myself, except it's two different sports. His is boxing and mine is bodybuilding. But we both have to put in just as many hours in working out every day and preparing ourselves for world championships. And the only difference I can see is maybe financially, that he makes more money than I do, because boxing is a more recognized sport and it's a bigger spectator sport. And bodybuilding is pretty young.
Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old-school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high-quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, are Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.